in battle with Madian, Gedeon sent messengers throughout all the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down against Madian, and take before them the waters as far as Beth-Beerah, even the Jordan." So all the men of Ephraim were gathered together, and took the waters as far as Beth-Beerah, even the Jordan. And they took the two princes of Madian, Oreb and Zeheb, and they slew Oreb at the rock of Oreb, and Zeheb they slew at the winepress of Zeheb, and pursued Madian. And they brought the heads of Oreb and Zeheb to Gedeon beyond the Jordan. Shophatim, Judges chapter 8. And the men of Ephraim said to him, "Why hast thou served us thus, that thou calledst us not when thou wentest to fight with Madian?" And they did chide with him sharply. And he said to them, "What have I now done in comparison with you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? God hath delivered into your hand the princes of Madian, Oreb and Zeheb. And what was I able to do in comparison with you?" Then their anger was abated toward him when he had said that. And Gedeon came to the Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint, yet pursuing. And he said to the men of Succoth, "Give, I pray you, loaves of bread to the people that follow me, for they are faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Salmanah, the kings of Madian." And the princes of Succoth said, "Are the hands of Zebah and Salmanah now in thy hand, that we should give bread to thy army?" And Gedeon said, "Therefore, when Yahweh hath delivered Zebah and Salmanah into my hand, then I will tear your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars." And he went up thence to Penuel, and spoke to them in like manner. And the men of Penuel answered him as the men of Succoth had answered. And he spoke also to the men of Penuel, saying, "When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower." Now Zebah and Salmanah were in Qarqar, and their host with them, about 15,000 men, all that were left of all the hosts of the children of the east, for there fell 120,000 men that drew sword. And Gedeon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobah and Yagabahar, and smote the host, for the host was secure. And Zebah and Salmanah fled, and he pursued after them, and he took the two kings of Madian, Zebah and Salmanah, and terrified all the host. And Gedeon the son of Joash returned from the battle from the ascent of the Haras. And he caught a young man of the men of Succoth, and inquired of him, and he described for him the princes of Succoth, and the elders thereof, 77 men. And he came to the men of Succoth, and said, "Behold, Zebah and Salmanah, concerning whom ye did taunt me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Salmanah now in thy hand, that we should give bread to thy men that are weary?" And he took the elders of the city, and thorns of the wilderness, and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. and he broke down the tower of Panuel, and slew the men of the city. Then said he to Zebah and Thalmunna, What manner of men were they whom ye slew at Tabor? And they answered, As thou art, so were they. Each one resembled the sons of a king. And he said, They were my brothers, the sons of my mother. As Yahweh liveth, if ye had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And he said to Yether his firstborn, Up and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Then Zebah and Thalmunna said, Rise thou, and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose, and slew Zebah and Thalmunna, and took the crescents that were on their camels' necks. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, Rule thou over us, both thou and thy son, and thy son's son also, for thou hast saved us out of the hand of Madian. And Gideon said to them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. Yahweh shall rule over you. And Gideon said to them, I would make a request of you, that ye would give me every man the earrings of his spoil. For they had gotten earrings because they were Yishmaelim. And they answered, We will willingly give them. And they spread a garment, and did cast therein every man the earrings of his spoil. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekalim, besides the crescents and the pendants, and the purple raiment that was on the kings of Madian, and besides the chains that were about their camels' necks. And Gideon made a ephod thereof, and put it in his city, even in Ephra, and all Israel played the harlot after it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and to his house. So Madian was subdued before the children of Israel, and they lifted up their heads no more, and the land had rest 40 years in the days of Gideon. And Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many women. And his concubine that was in Shukam, she also bare him a son, and he called his name Abimelech. And Gideon the son of Joash died in a good old age, and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash his father, in a Ephra of the Havi Ha'azri. And it was, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel turned again, and played the harlot after the Baalim, and made Baal-berith their god. And the children of Israel remembered not Yahweh their God, who had delivered them out of the hand of all their enemies on every side. Neither showed they kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had shown to Israel. And Abimelech the son of Jerubbaal went to Shukam to his mother's brothers, and spoke with them, and with all the family of the house of his mother's father, saying, Speak, I pray you, in the ears of the men of Shukam, whether it is better for you that all the sons of Jerubbaal, who are 70 persons, rule over you, or that one rule over you. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. And his mother's brothers spoke of him in the ears of all the men of Shechem all these words, and their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, He is our brother. And they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal-berith, wherewith Abimelech hired vain and light fellows who followed him. And he went to his father's house at Ephraim, and slew his brothers, the sons of Jerubbaal, being 70 persons, upon one stone. But Joatham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, was left, for he hid himself.